Yourself the gift of the next half an hour's time out, going somewhere where you're not going to be disturbed for the next half an hour, putting your phone on mute or silent, just sitting comfortably in your favorite meditation posture. So that might be sitting with your feet shoulder width apart. Just cup your hands in your lap. Close your eyes, keep your back straight. You can also sit cross-legged if you wanted to, on the floor, on your bed, sitting up in bed with legs out in front of you or cross-legged, and just supporting your back against a pillow or headboard is quite a nice meditation posture. The only requirements really are to be comfortable and to keep your back straight, because we're going to be raising this life or kundalini energy that's trapped at the base of your spine, up the spine. And it's very helpful if you have a straight spine to do that. So having said all that, making sure you're comfortable, closing your eyes, and just start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Breathing into the lower stomach, feeling it pushing out like a balloon. Squeeze the sphincter muscle. That's the muscle used to contract the flow of urine or squeeze the last drops out. That creates an energy lock. It's called Mula Bandha in yoga. And it also pumps the energy up the spine. And then simultaneously, as you breathe in again, feel this warm tingling thread of energy running up the spine into your heart center. Put one hand over your heart. Just feel a nice, warm, comforting, tingling sensation there. And just draw it all the way up into the upper spine, into the crown of your head. Just pause at the top of the inhale. Take another sip of air, so it's a maximal inhale breath. Your stomach, your chest, just filled up. Just smile at the top of the inhale. This little gap between breaths, just notice the peace and the stillness that's arising. And notice any thoughts and emotions going on, particularly anything that's difficult in your mind. So one of the characteristics of the ego is problems. And we think that there's an order of difficulty in problems. One is harder to solve, more difficult to deal with than another. It's the subject of the reading today on how can perception of order of difficulties be avoided. So just notice all of that. Notice any emotions that arise. Breathe into the feelings that arise. Maybe there's an uncomfortable feeling somewhere in your body, a knot in your stomach, butterflies in your stomach, tight chest, clenching of your jaw, fists. At the extreme, nausea, sweating, cold sweats, panic attacks can come just from thoughts, just from worrying about problems. So wherever you are on that spectrum, notice, just breathe into it, breathing air into that feeling and just feeling a sense of presence, some spacious awareness surrounding the problem in your mind. Maybe you just feel a little bit of a dissipation in it with the breath, a little bit of a relaxing of the mental contraction, the attachment to this problem, this difficulty. Because that's really the only problem, is your attachment to it. And so as you exhale, blow it all out with the breath. Imagine that you're releasing this attachment to this problem, this difficulty, like black smoke out of your mouth, just blowing it all away with your breath, releasing it all, sinking in. in the stillness, silence. Pull the lower stomach into the spine so you're completely empty. Just hold the breath briefly for a few moments. Smile as you connect with this exquisite peace and stillness. And the gap between breaths. And then breathe in again. Nice deep inhale. Just notice how the stomach rises. Chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Feel this life energy rising up the spine into the crown of the head. Just pause at the top of the inhale. Smile. And then exhale. This time keep your mouth closed. Just sigh it all out of your nose. Make a little sighing sound in the back of your throat. The chest and the stomach suck back in. Energy subsides back down into the front channel of your body. Coming to rest in your lower stomach, your groin. Just pause there again. At the bottom of the exhale, appreciate the peace and the stillness that arises in these gaps. And then breathe in again. So just setting your breath in motion. This nice, deep, slow, rhythmical pattern of breathing. Notice how the stomach rises, the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Rising up of the life energy. Pause, smile, breathe. Exhale. Just keep your mouth closed. Make a little sighing sound in the back of your throat. Chest and the stomach suck back in. The energy subsides back down from the crown of your head, down the front channel of your body, coming to rest in your lower stomach and your groin. Just pause there and then repeat the cycle. So just stepping back, watching your breath. Just keeps your mind in a nice, still, calm, empty, open, but aware state. You can imagine it's like a very still, calm lake on a windless day. And these ideas I'm going to share from this section of the Manual for Teachers, section 8. Just drop in there. Like pebbles into the lake, plop. Because your mind is so still, the ripple effects are going to be very noticeable. I really want to feel into these words, start feeling the emotions, the states of being that they point to. That's when the words are really effective in doing their work. So not just about the mind, intellectual understanding, it's about listening with the heart. So put one hand on your heart center, just to anchor you into your heart presence. This is a deeper intelligence, emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence. Do not reside in the mind. They're in the heart. It's actually all part of a bigger mind, but talking about that conscious, rational, intellectual mind now. Cannot really feel. So just breathing, nice, deep, slow breaths. Keep one hand on your heart center to keep you connected to this heart presence. So you're this very calm, receptive, empty vessel, just allowing these words to come into your awareness, to a deeper part of your mind, which is where they're needed in your subconscious, where they will undo. It's another part of the ego's thought system. It's a default program that's run your life. For most of your life, that runs the world. tells you that there is an order of difficulty in miracles. Various problems, situations are more difficult than others. So let's hear what Jesus has to say about, in answer to this question, how can perception of order of difficulties be avoided? And just keep watching your breath as you listen, keeping one hand in your heart center. Stay in this nice, calm, empty, open, spacious awareness in which these ideas just permeate in on a deeper level of your mind. So, the belief in order of difficulties, says Jesus, is the basis for the world's perception. It rests on differences, on uneven background and shifting foreground, on unequal heights and diverse sizes, on varying degrees of darkness and light, and thousands of contrasts in which each thing seen competes with every other in order to be recognized. A larger object overshadows a smaller one. A brighter thing draws the attention from another with less intensity of appeal. And a more threatening idea, or one conceived of as more desirable by the world's standards, completely upsets the mental balance. What the body's eyes behold is only conflict. Look not to them for peace and understanding. So just pause and reflect on that. So you keep watching your breath. One thing you can never accuse Jesus of is being unclear. It's absolutely clear in what he says. The body's eyes behold is only conflict. You will not find peace and understanding through the body's eyes, because they do not exist in the world of illusion, which the body's eyes were made to perceive, to make real. We must look beyond the body's eyes to spiritual sight, to sight that does not see the different forms of this world, but looks to the very essence, the truth beyond them. So let's continue. Just keep watching your breath, staying nice and still, calm, empty, open, but aware, to allow these words in to the deeper part of your mind. Keep one hand over your heart center. As you do this, so Jesus says illusions are always illusions of differences. How could it be otherwise? By definition, an illusion is an attempt to make something real that is regarded as of major importance, but is recognized as being untrue. The mind therefore seeks to make it true out of its intensity of desire to have it for itself. Illusions are travesties of creation, attempts to bring truth to lies. Finding truth unacceptable, the mind revolts against truth and gives itself an illusion of victory. Finding health a burden, it retreats into feverish dreams. And in these dreams, the mind is separate, different from other minds, with different interests of its own, and able to gratify its needs at the expense of others. Okay. Where do all these differences come from? Asks Jesus. Certainly they seem to be in the world outside. Yet it is surely the mind that judges what the eyes behold. It is the mind that interprets the eyes' messages and gives them, quote, meaning. And this meaning does not exist in the world outside at all. What is seen as, quote, reality is simply what the mind prefers. Its hierarchy of values is projected outward, and it sends the body's eyes to find it. The body's eyes will never see except through differences. Yet it is not the messages they bring on which perception rests. Only the mind evaluates their messages, so only the mind is responsible for seeing. It alone decides whether what is seen is real or illusory, desirable or undesirable, pleasurable or painful. So just pause and reflect on that. Just keep watching your breath. Body's eyes see differences. Body's eyes see a reality based on differences. Jesus is telling us again very clearly that this is all a setup of the mind. Only the mind evaluates the messages of the body's eyes. So only the mind is responsible for seeing. We project and then we perceive from the ego mind. And we think that that process makes up our reality. But we can change our mind. We can see what we previously saw as real as illusory. What we desired before as undesirable. Previously gave us pain or pleasure as simply meaningless. So it is in the sorting out and categorizing activities of the mind that errors in perception enter. And it is here correction must be made. The mind classifies what the body's eyes bring to it according to its preconceived values, judging where each sense datum fits best. What basis could be faultier than this? Unrecognized by itself, it has itself asked to be given what will fit into these categories. And having done so, it concludes that the categories must be true. On this the judgment of all differences rests, because it is on this that judgments of the world depend. Can this confused and senseless, quote, reasoning be depended on for anything? So again, pause, reflect, keep watching your breath, keep one hand in your heart center. Jesus is saying really clearly to us that our perception based on differences is false. So all the judgments we make based on these perceived differences are also false. We create all these categories in which to categorize our sense perceptions. But we've created categories in the first place. There's a self-deception here. Unrecognized by itself, the mind itself. It has itself asked to be given what will fit into these categories. We desire an illusion of differences, of separation, and we create that, or miscreate it. We make it up. We project it out, and then we perceive it with the same mind as real. And then our judgments seem to be justified. But he says this is confused and senseless reasoning. It cannot be depended on for anything. So let's continue. There can be no order of difficulty in healing merely because all sickness is illusion. Is it harder to dispel the belief of the insane in a larger hallucination as opposed to a smaller one? Will he agree more quickly to the unreality of a louder voice he hears than to a softer one? Will he dismiss more easily a whispered demand to kill than a shout? And do the number of pitchforks the devils he sees carrying affect their credibility in his perception? It's all very good questions. So pause and reflect on them. The truth is that your mind has categorized them all as real, and so they are all real to you. When you realize they're all illusions, they will disappear. And so it is with healing. Properties of illusions which seem to make them different are really irrelevant, for their properties are as illusory as they are. So pause, reflect on that. It's one gigantic smokescreen. An illusion is an illusion is an illusion. It doesn't matter what aspect of the illusion you choose, what part of it, what you choose to focus on, how you choose to perceive it. All the differences, the number of things, the quantum, the size, something's bigger or smaller, but actually a larger hallucination is no more real than a smaller one. An illusion is an illusion is an illusion. It's a very, very simple teaching, but it's a very profound one. It takes the mind into a state where it must recognize its own illusions and give them up. This process is called forgiveness. Simply letting them go or overlooking the illusions. And then what's left is the truth. Simple truth of who you really are. In the meantime, the body's eyes, Jesus says, will continue to see differences. But the mind that has let itself be healed will no longer acknowledge them. There will be those who seem to be, quote, sicker than others, and the body's eyes will report their changed appearances as before. But the healed mind will put them all in one category. They are unreal. This is the gift of its teacher, the understanding that only two categories are meaningful in sorting out the messages the mind receives from what appears to be the outside world. And of these two, but one is real. Just as reality is wholly real, apart from size and shape and time and place, for differences cannot exist within it, so too are illusions without distinctions. The one answer to sickness of any kind is healing. The one answer to all illusions is truth. And so on that profound note, just sink into this truth for a couple of minutes of silence. Just remind yourself there's nowhere else to go, there's nothing else to do, nothing else to think about for the next 2 minutes. Just breathe, relax, watch your breath, step back. And allow your mind just to sink in deeper, going within. And the breath take you deeper and deeper with each breath. Into this place, this state of mind, where maybe you get a little glimpse of the truth. There really are no illusions. All the illusions of the world simply obscure the truth that we are still one. Exists in a place, in a state of mind beyond time and space, beyond size and shape and all the characteristics that seem to characterize this world illusion. Just get into a place of total oneness, perfect oneness, where there are no differences. By definition, perfect oneness means there are no differences anywhere to be seen. So just for the next 2 minutes of silence, sink into this deep place in which your mind is healed and whole, perfect and complete. Into the light. Call it light. You can imagine beautiful golden or white light that you're sinking into. It's enveloping you, surrounding you. There's nowhere else to go. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to think about. For the next 2 minutes of silence, just breathe, relax, step back, and sink in to the light. Next 2 minutes of silence. And when any thoughts arise to disturb this deep peace and tranquility, just notice them and gently blow them away with the wind of your breath as you exhale. Just imagine they're like clouds just drifting by. There's no power to obscure the eternally serene sky, which is your true awareness. So you just let them go and sink back into this eternally serene sky, which is in your mind, for another minute of silence. And so gently just coming back into an awareness of your body and the senses and the world through your breath. So breathing in, noticing how stomach rises on the count of 1. Stomach rises, chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just feel that life energy rising up the spine to the crown of your head. Pause at the top of the inhale, smile. Notice that light and that peace is still very much there. Anchor those in for the rest of the evening by just noticing them, acknowledging them, setting the intention to stay there. So it is said, so it is done. And exhale, just exhale, sighing it all out. And the air flow out of your nostrils. Sighing sound in the back of your throat, chest and the stomach suck back in. And just feel the energy subsiding back down the front channel of your body. It's like a wave breaking back into the ocean. Coming to rest in your stomach and your groin. So that's 1, 2. While your tension is down there, just noticing the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. So you breathe in again. Noticing maybe there's a subtle smell on your nose. So you breathe in, a taste in your mouth. Notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. So whatever sounds arise, allow them to arise. And don't give them any meaning. This section is pointing to is the fact that the mind interprets everything. It's the mind that gives it its meaning. So don't give it the meaning. Don't name it or label it or judge it or interpret it in any way. Just allow whatever you perceive with your body's eyes, physical senses to be, without the mental interpretation that makes it into judgment. And in this way you avoid the perception of order of difficulty and miracles. You start to see that it's all equally unreal and untrue. And so 3, just gently opening your eyes, looking around, taking a minute just to reorient yourself. Visual sense for most people is the most dominant one. So just practice this mind training with whatever you're seeing, allowing your eyes to rest for a few seconds on each object, pretty randomly, whatever you happen to see. Then move on to something else. Don't name it or judge it or label it or interpret it in any way. And then move on again. Just do that for half a dozen objects and notice how peaceful you feel when you're in this detached state of just being the observer, the witness, without the mental interpretations that characterize the ego. And so notice how peaceful that feels. And resolve to stay there. So you don't have to continue judging with the mind, the ego mind. It's because you're out of a meditation. You can stay in this very calm, peaceful, but detached state, no matter what's happening. So that's what I wish for you, an evening in which you do stay, a very calm, peaceful, and flowing state, no matter what seems to happen. That you experience the peace of non-judgmental perception for the rest of the evening and the weekend. And before I bid you goodbye, just a quick note that there's a session tomorrow afternoon at 2:30 South African time. That's 12:30 GMT or UK time. We'll be doing a meditation to start with, and then a discussion session. And I think discussing this section and the idea of perception and the order of difficulties that we see, how we deal with illusions of problems that we seem to have, is a very good topic for discussion. So join us if you'd like to take a deeper dive into understanding this profound section tomorrow at 12:30 UK time, 2:30 South African time in the Zoom room. If you're out there on YouTube, then subscribe to the channel, and you'll be notified when I go live, and we'll broadcast it live. And if If you'd like to find out a little bit more about this community, how you can be part of these sessions, go to theaolg.com. That's theaolg.com to find out more, and you can register for a masterclass. I'll be running this Thursday, in which I explain everything, and you'll learn a lot from it too. So I hope to see you then. Thanks again for listening, and namaste, which means the divine and non-judgmental perception in me acknowledges and honors that same non-judgmental perception in you.